before the podcast ramble. There we go.
So what's the plan?
I can't hear you.
Oh, okay, that's not
My
good.
sound. Hold on. Alright. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Okay. I don't know what that was about.
That's...
I was asking you questions, you weren't responding. I was like, oh, okay. Don't know what's going on.
I was sitting there like, I guess he's gone offline. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just kind of asking, like, what's the plan? Do you have a topic you wanted to go over, or do you just, like...
Yeah, sure. So,
you aiming for?
Basically, the whole idea, or like, it started just because, like, I wanted to kind of talk to other solo game developers out there and get an idea on how they're getting it, how they survive, how they make it work. And with you specifically, I was like, it was your... I was feeling like particularly low at a point where I was like, oh, maybe I should just go and... Because the coronavirus and all this stuff happened, and I was like, oh, maybe I should just park game dev, come back to it later. And then I was watching your video from like 2 years ago, your marketing video, and it was like, just stick with it, you know? Like, you were saying, like, I've been broke so many times, and I think... like, there are so many people out there in same situations as me who are just like, you know, especially because of COVID-19, but as solo game developers, and I'm a father of one and one on the way, so you just hit these points where you're like, maybe game development just needs to be a part-time hobby, do it on the side thing. And then I'm also, like, I've been an entrepreneur, I've been in startups, I've had very little money, and I've made money, so I've been through the ups and downs, but every now and then you just hit that low. And I feel like talking to people like yourself and other people that have pursued their passion, their dream, and what makes them happy, that's kind of the information we want to get out there and talk about. So,
Absolutely.
So this session will be around about like that, specifically about how you did it, what you did, like what works for you, what doesn't. And then also probably, because you are fairly big on YouTube in the sense of game design, you have a lot of game design content. Like, your content production is ridiculous. I'm like, looking at it like yesterday, 2 days ago, 5 days ago, 7 days ago. I'm just like,
5 days a week.
That's just...
video every day. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. But it's all really good topics. So it'd be also good to swing in and talk about how... your thoughts on some game design topics, and cover that in the sense of a solo game developer. So, yeah,
I'll follow your lead. So wherever you want to go, I'm down for all that.
All right, and it's pronounced Ruswick, right? Tim Ruswick.
Yes.
Awesome. Now you're also building. How do I pronounce it? Battle tactics? No.
Battle barn tactics.
I missed the barn.
Although battle tactics sounds pretty awesome. if it didn't have barn animals in it, I'd probably go with that.
Battle barn tactics. Yeah, I was looking at battle barn tactics, and it's legitimately the kind of game that I would be really into. I'm really into my strategy, kind of like my thought games. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go buy this. And then I was like, oh damn, it's wish list. Damn it, I want to buy it.
Well, that's my hope, because I love strategy games, but I hate this crazy complexity of like 10,000 menus and all this shit. And it sucks. I'm trying to make something in the middle, because there's nothing out there that's like strategy, and like FTL, I guess, was probably the closest. Into the Breach is like too much to me, but like I'm trying to hit some kind of mid-market, I guess, people like me who like strategy games, but like I don't want to dedicate my life to learning them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I've seen like I've seen some trailers and stuff for it. It looks very much... it kind of looks like chess, like a weird version of chess. Is that what you're going with?
The kind of pitch for it is chess meets Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like what it is. Although I'm not sure that's a good way to put it, because I'm specifically trying to not make a game like chess, because chess is an example of a game I hate. Maybe this would be better for the actual podcast.
Yeah,
I'll get into all this.
I'll bring it in. All right. Awesome. And before we dive in, is there anything you wanted to talk about? Any kind of things that you want to bring up? Like, we'll obviously bring up Battle Barn Tactics and your YouTube, but is there anything else that you wanted to talk about specifically?
No, I'm an open book, and I really enjoy kind of conversations with other people that are into the same things I am. So wherever you want to go with it, we kind of follow it down.
Awesome. All right, let's start. Hello guys, my name is Kai Ashford Hadley from Naked Devs, and I'm here with Tim Ruswick, the creator of Battle Barn Tactics and also master YouTuber. You're just like, content produce is ridiculous.
Master YouTuber.
I would say
never been called that before.
Yeah, stick it to your title.
We'll go with that.
And this is Solo Game Devs podcast, where we meet other solo game devs around the world, especially during these crazy times where we're all locked indoors. So, Tim, let's jump straight into the first question. Battle Barn Tactics is on your wish list. It's wish list available. Tell me a little bit about it. Tell me how it works.
So, Battle Barn Tactics is a game. It's a tactics game that stems from my love of other tactics games like XCOM, but it came about because I love XCOM and I love these really complex strategy games. I don't like learning them, and there's so many games that I just haven't played because I look at screenshots and I'm just like, that's going to take too long to figure out what the hell all those menus mean. And it's like, I really, really enjoy strategy games, but like, for whatever reason, I don't want to invest the time. So I'm trying to make a strategy game that's like interesting and deep, but at the same time, like very approachable and very casual. And like some of my best memories as a kid are playing the Pokemon card game with my brother. We used to go to Pokemon tournaments all the time, and Pokemon is a fantastic example of an approachable but deep strategy game, right? Yeah. Like it's very easy to understand, but it's very deep when you want to get into it. There's a lot to like get into, and so this game is kind of that. It's kind of, we were talking before about, it's kind of like chess meets Pokemon in a way. So that's kind of where we're at.
So do you collect other barn animals in the similar way to Pokemon?
Yes. So that's one of the cool things about it, is every unit in the game is capturable for your team.
Oh, cool.
And so all the units do different things. They have different move patterns. They have different targeting patterns. And then they have different abilities and stuff too. And any unit, including all the bosses, are capturable through kind of our whole little capture system. And the cool thing about this is it's a procedurally generated roguelike in the sense that like it's a run-based game. So when you capture a unit, that unit then automatically unlocks for your next run. So you can start your next run with that unit as part of your team.
Oh, I see.
And yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like Pokemon with permadeath in a way, where it's like once your unit's dead, it's dead for that run. But like capturing other stuff gives you a chance to like play through it next run.
Right. And so each run really you progress further and further. Is that right? And you unlock different things.
I think it's. I mean, yeah, because you'll learn the units better. You'll gain access to more units. You'll gain access to more utility. I'm trying to make the game like it's called Battle Barn Tactics, right? And there's a bunch of barn animals, and the art is very bright and cutesy. So I'm very cognizant of that. And I'm trying not to basically make the mistake I'm trying to avoid with like a game like Stellaris, which I love very much, but it's just there's too much there. There's too much. It's too much, right? And it's just crazy. And so I'm trying to peel that back a little bit to where technically you probably could beat the game on your first run if you know enough about tactics and that kind of stuff. But I'm also building it in a way where the fun and the long-term engagement of the game doesn't come necessarily from skill. It comes from really crazy synergies or really unique unit types that kind of feed off of each other.
Yeah.
So different teams can give you a completely different experience.
Yeah. So it comes from that collecting and that growing with the combination of your team as an experience, not necessarily just how quickly can you beat the game.
Right.
And so what made you go to Steam? I remember in one of your YouTube videos you're talking about you launched your previous game on itch.io, and this time you've gone to Steam. And from what I can see of this game, it looks very kind of suited to a mobile platform. So I might be wrong here, but like, tell me your thoughts.
You're insulting my game. How dare you call it a mobile game?
I didn't say that.
It does. That's feedback I get quite a bit.
Yeah. So why?
But
Steam
you're asking why Steam?
Yeah.
Steam. Okay, so I launched on itch. My last game, Phalophobia, and that was more of an experiment. Well, okay, so I've learned a lot about myself in this whole process of solo game development. And to be completely honest with you, if we're just sharing our hearts here,
yeah, let's open up.
I think there's a little bit of fear there. I really do. Like, I looked at it as an experiment because everybody said, hey, you should go to Steam. You should ignore all these other platforms. Steam is the biggest. It's going to give you the most bang for your buck. And I said, no, I want to go to itch. But I think I wanted to experiment. I wanted to do that because no one had done that before. No one had like really like done a full scale like launch on itch like they had done on Steam. Like, everybody does it on Steam, but like nobody really does it on itch. It's just kind of for game jam games or whatever.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try that, but I think deep down there was a part of me that was saying like, Steam is for the big boys, right? And like if I go there and I put in all of my effort and I fail, it's gonna make me feel stupid. So like, at least if I go to itch, then like I can kind of, I don't know, make whatever I do is gonna kind of succeed there, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, like the bare, even if I get the bare minimum, I've still done good. Yeah, I know that feel.
Right,
yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
So I do think there was some of that subconsciously going on because I think there was definitely like a fear of just going all in and launching on Steam. But also there was like that game was like my first commercial game. That game also took me 4 years. It's a game called like Phalophobia. It's about the fear of love. It was based on a breakup. It's got some deep, dark stuff. It's a game where love is literal hell, right?
Yeah.
So it's like touchy-feely, darky, stressy, bad stuff. And so there was like a barrier. Not only was it like the first commercial game launch, right? That's the biggest barrier for everybody, like actually doing the thing for the first time. But then there's also like this is all of my negative emotions, and then on top of that, this is like the ultimate creation. This is like all of me poured into a thing, and now people are gonna choose whether they like it or hate it.
Just exposing yourself. And Steam can be toxic. Like, Steam comments can be harsh.
Yeah. So, you know, there's just a lot going on, man. And then on top of that, just like, I was working on that game till the night before. I launched the game with a game-breaking bug. I had to ship a patch. And then when I shipped a patch the day of to fix the game-breaking bug, I shipped the patch with invincibility mode. I had to ship another patch to take out invincibility mode in the precision platform. So it was a series of stuff. And although I do kind of feel like I messed with my sales a little bit doing that, because then when I did launch on Steam, everybody already had the game right in my audience. So. Yeah. And then Steam works on an algorithm too. So then if you don't get that initial burst, you don't get spread out to more people and that, all that stuff. I do think I messed with my sales a little bit, but at the same time, like, the game was not ready for Steam, man. It wasn't even ready for like people to play. Yeah. But like, I picked a launch date and I like did the best of my ability, and you know, I did it.
Yeah, but that's like remarkable in its own right. And what I've realized when I speak to a lot of solo developers, it's always a 4 to 5 year journey, and it's never ready. Like,
it's still not ready.
Yeah,
yeah, I agree.
Like, every time I've spoken to anyone that I know of, my friends and an extended group of solo devs, it's like 5 years later, the game is looking really good, and I've seen a lot of videos of Phalophobia, and it's a really, really beautifully done indie game. Like, it just,
thank you.
It's. I love the way that you do like the fog of war kind of effect as you drop and you reveal different things based on where your camera angles are and light. And I think that's really beautiful. And it screams like every kind of like success indie game has this really nice 2D kind of, or like, you know, like side-on effect, like, or in the Blind Forest and so on and so forth. And I was like, oh, this is such a beautiful game. And I can't remember where I was going with this. I'm tangenting on just enjoying your game.
I think distinctness is really, really important these days with marketing. You know, like you have to, someone has to be able to look at your game and not confuse it with another game. Like if they look at a screenshot of your game and it's possible to confuse it with another game, I think you're gonna have a hard time marketing it.
I
Right.
also think like it needs to be GIF worthy. Um, it needs to be something that you can chuck up that people can look at and go, "Oh, that GIF was interesting." Because
Right.
most solo game developers, our best channels, other than yourself, who has 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, our best channels are like Reddit and Twitter, and we're competing against everyone else that's on Reddit and Twitter. So if it's not
Right.
stunning from a GIF perspective, it gets really hard to push through what is already what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, it's really interesting because like I went through after I launched Phalophobia on itch, I started working on a game called Cypherpunk, which was a stealth hacking roguelike. And I spent 9 months on that. And then in January, I had to go back to Phalophobia to get it ready for Steam and build a bunch of menus and like I added a bunch of features and stuff. And then when I got done with that, I was like, I started looking like really thinking about a launch for Cypherpunk, right? And I realized that like when I put it in a GIF, or even it actually came up in the trailer, but then it also came up with GIFs. Like I had to record footage of the trailer, and I'm just looking at it. I'm just like, this looks amazing. Like the feedback I got on the game all the time is like, this looks amazing, but I don't know what the hell's going on. So like as an artist, I feel amazing, but then I started realizing like as I'm trying to build these little clips, it's not GIFable because the game itself is not clear enough on what it is.
Yeah.
And after 9 months of just kind of the way I approached that game was so weird because it was just kind of like, let's figure it out, right? It was different than like any other game that I started before. I usually start like, I want to make this. But with that game, it was like, let's kind of follow it down the rabbit hole wherever it goes. And as a result, it just got really messy and muddy. And even though it looked interesting in a GIF, it's not clear what the game is when you look at it. And so I think that part is super, super important. And that's a big contrast to like Battleborn Tactics, where it's like, with a GIF, you get the game.
Yeah.
You get what it is. You can imagine all the other stuff. Your brain can fill in all the other holes. Just kind of seeing me move a dude on a chessboard.
Yeah,
right? Like
in seconds.
You get it.
Yeah, especially because the effect that you do, and I think it's a really good game feel effect. You demonstrate the attack with an icon as well, and and in that immediately that feedback, you're like, oh, okay, there has been damage that's happened. Because it looks like a swipe or it looks like an attack, and so that you don't need any more information. You've moved him, he bobs, the effect comes up, and it's like, oh, some damage has happened. I get that.
And now, granted, 9 months working on Cyberpunk taught me a ton about that kind of stuff, right? The direct feedback. It was so painful to watch people play my game on video, because they did not know what the hell was going on or where to go or what to do. And it's like, that affects me as a designer, right? Like it makes me like cringe and like, oh no, they're trying to play my thing. They like me. They enjoy my stuff. They want to play it, but they can't because this game is just not good at teaching them how to play it.
Yeah. It's
so I went opposite end of the spectrum with this new one.
It's like linear learning curve, right? Like, making sure that they're learning, they learn something new and they reinforce it, and they learn something new and they reinforce it. As long as that goes linear, they're able to absorb the information and it becomes fun, addictive, that kind of stuff. The second that it's like a steep learning curve, you'll get people that go past it. I mean, look at EVE Online, right?
Right. Oh, dude, EVE Online is another one that I just like. I want to play it so bad, but I can't even comprehend it.
Yeah.
No, but Cypherpunk taught me, it kind of gave me the perspective I have now of like, I was so after like depth and strategic depth. Like I wanted to make a good strategy game. I've always enjoyed strategy games. I wanted to make like a game that just really required thought and just, strategy really. And it just, I focused so much on depth that I forgot about the usability part of it.
Yeah.
And I forgot about that if people can't understand it and play it, they'll never get to the depth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They'll never get there. And I got reinforced too, because like I was also at the time I was teaching my girlfriend all the card games because I've been a big card game fan.
Okay.
And like we used to play Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. I used to play Magic the Gathering. I used to play all this stuff. And we're going through each card game and like I teach her Pokemon, and it's like, oh, we had so much fun. She got really into it. We were buying decks and everything. I teach her Magic. Okay, she kind of gets it. It's not quite her thing, but you know, we're getting there. And then I pull out my Yu-Gi-Oh decks, and I'm just like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, I have to explain 10,000 things.
Yeah.
And then they got this XYZ summon, and
I was just going to say XYZ summon.
And then so you can pull out a guy from this other deck that's not here, and then these guys pull out these guys that have this word in their name, and it's just like, I just quit. I was just like, you know what? Let's stick to Pokemon, right? And like that right there, that experience kind of like taught me, like, she enjoys strategy games. We had fun, but because of this barrier that this game has created, it, like, someone like her will never enjoy that, right? And like, honestly, I wouldn't even enjoy that if I didn't start with Yu-Gi-Oh at the beginning when none of that stuff was there.
Yeah. Right?
Yu-Gi-Oh
was really
none of that
simple.
Stuff was in the game.
It's like traps and summons, and you just got to have a higher number than their number. Like, keep it easy.
And that's one of the reasons I liked it. And then just you watch it for 10 years, and it's just, now it's stupid. You've got these turns that take a half hour because they can do all this crazy stuff, and it's
I mean, that's
anyway. So
you see that with like every game, like World of Warcraft, like, or you know, Vanilla WoW, which has now been re-released, and then you look at all the expansions, and because people go, well, I finished Vanilla WoW, what's next? And they go, oh, okay, cool, we'll add in like some extra stuff, and we'll add in a whole element of Pokemon, so now you can capture these animals that help.
Right.
And you see this because games effectively we hit this point where we just want to keep, it's the same as TV actually as well, it's like we just want to keep giving back to our fans and our audience, and that's why you see in TV they have like season 3 is 4 and 5, and by the 5th season you're like, oh, Community, you should have stopped at 3. So
yeah, no, I love Firefly, but that's one of my arguments with Firefly. I feel like I love it so much because it got one season. Like, if I was watching season 16, I would have been like, okay, this show sucks now.
Yeah,
like,
I think like, unless your formula, so like The Simpsons or Disney, they have a formula and it doesn't really change. And you watch the thing and you go, okay, this is just another Disney show, and I'm watching it for the exact same Disney experience, just in a different setting. If you stick to that, it kind of works. But
I think one of my favorite shows of all time is probably Stargate SG-1, because it was so formulaic, right? You've got these guys, and then at the beginning of every episode, they go through a portal and they experience something, and then they have to solve some problem, and then at the end of the time, they go back to the portal and everybody's home alone and everybody's good.
Yeah.
And that they just stuck to that for like 13 seasons, and season 13, I think, is just as interesting as like the earlier seasons because they stuck to the formula. Whereas something like Supernatural, I don't know where the hell that show went. I was really into the whole monster hunting thing. And then like season 5, there's these Leviathans and this crazy stuff, and this guy's really the devil, and like just I'm gone. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Well, Game of Thrones did that. You know, season 1 stuck to the formula. Season 2 broke it. Season 3,
yeah.
But like,
I never got into Game of Thrones.
Okay.
A lot of people have told me about it.
Yeah, I mean, sticking to a formula, I think, is a really, as a developer, I think, especially a solo developer, I've realized it's actually quite strong to, oh no, not strong, but it helps you speed up your development, because let's say you build an FPS game and you release it and get, I don't know, 10 people. If you then go and build another FPS game, well, you've already learnt from your first one. So you've already got a formula that you can refine and stick to, just like you did with your Cyberpunk strategy, and now you're going to yet another strategy game. Like, you've evolved that formula. Not that you should just, you know, forever be strategy or forever be FPS, but it really does help speed up your progress in development, in understanding your audience, and just by moving from like sticking within the same genre for a period of time.
Right. It can be really boring artistically.
Yes.
But it's definitely, I posted a video recently about kind of my plan for my game studio, because this is something I've been thinking about a lot. And I've made 30 some games now in total. And I've released one commercially. Battleborn Tactics will be my second commercial release. And so making all those games, like, it made me realize that there is kind of a genre I gravitate towards, and it tends to be strategy. But at the same time, like, I'm not good with longer projects. I just, like, at 9 months, Cypherpunk was just like, I'm done with it. I don't want it anymore. I'd
Yeah.
like literally get it out of my face, right? And Final Fantasy was 4 years, so that was like the ultimate end of that game. Like, just I am so done with this thing.
You're just crying inside, like
Yeah, really, like, and I literally cried on stream plenty of times when that game was about to launch.
yeah.
Like, it's just, it was too much. So like, that's kind of like, it took me doing all of that to kind of figure out where I fit, and now kind of my plan for my game studio now is like, I want to make small scope, turn-based, grid-based, semi-casual strategy games.
Yeah.
That's I'm doing that now with Battleborn Tactics, and after Battleborn Tactics, I want to use all the stuff that I create and maybe create a new thing that's similar to it in a similar timeline. But it can be bigger and better because I'm using the original game as a base. And I want to do that 2 or 3 times, and I want to see kind of how that works out, and see if it can, one, hold my attention, but two, like if I can build a business out of it.
That's it. But I think there's a bit of interesting, like, ability, not ability, but like there's something really interesting in doing that, because you start to learn exactly what your audience want. Exactly, and you've developed an already established following. It's like, well, we're just doing this, and we're going to get really good at doing this, you know. And if you look at Blizzard kind of did that with Warcraft and StarCraft. Like, they released a strategy games, and then they just released more strategy games until they expanded. And so once you do that, not only do you pull this following along, and then your next game is a lot faster in development because you already have established code, and if it's clean code, it's a lot easier. You can just chuck it in. But you then like learn how to create what I call the Disney formula, which is that thing that just works. People love it. Chuck it out there. Do another one. Like, eventually, like you said, it does get a bit stale. So
I think aesthetic is super important to me, and so kind of like as I'm imagining like this, because it's called Battleborn Tactics, right? It's got some bright colors and it's got some barn animals, but like I'm already kind of getting bored with it. On my iPad, I've been drawing like mechs and stuff and starships, and I've been like on Pinterest a lot looking at all these aesthetics, and like I'm already thinking like, okay, I want to make the same game, but like in space. I want to make the same game, but with customizable mechs, right? Like, instead of picking up the pig to get the pig's abilities, what if like the enemy mech drops its gun, and then you can put that on your mech, right?
That's
like,
true.
I'm already thinking of things like this. So as I'm building this, like I'm trying to be true to like what the game is, because like you said, it kind of looks like a mobile game. It aesthetically, the aesthetics are important because it's the entryway to the game, right? So it sets up a series of expectations on what you're going to get. And I think it would be a mistake for me to like put super hardcore strategy into a game that like is bright and colorful and looks kind of childish in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, this is the core building block of a mech game or a tactics starship game, right? It's the same stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just going to look different. And I think I can make that work as a business. I don't have proof of that yet, but I think I can pull that off.
I think so. I'm when it comes to business development as a serial like startup kind of guy, what I've realized that success in business is just time. Like, especially because there are some businesses out there that I look at and I go, how do you survive? But over time, you just learn through your mistakes, you develop an audience, and it just grows. So as long as you put enough time in it and it's still passion for you, it will work. I have no doubt. But
I've shared the same thing. Sorry to cut you off, but like I 100% believe that. That's like my life philosophy. You said you were talking about my YouTube videos. I post 5 YouTube videos a week. I post one Monday through Friday. And the reason I do that is because like I've seen all the people in my niche, right? Like all the other game dev YouTubers, a lot of them pass me up in subscribers. A lot of them have better content than me. A lot of them have these flashy, edited, beautiful videos. A lot of them have like very distinct and very condensed content. That's not me though. The one thing I can do though is I can put out 5 of them a week.
Yeah.
Right? They're unedited, they're ugly, but nobody can compete with me on that end, right? Like that's my edge over them, and I'm looking at it the same as you. Is like every day I do that, I get more people that follow me, and it's only a matter of time because I'm building that number up over time, and it's growing. So I just keep doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, well, you know Mr. Beast, right? The YouTuber.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he actually had this post. I can't remember how old it is. It's quite old. And he talks about that exact thing. And he goes through for like, I don't know, 3 years or 4 years, a long time where he only had 2,000 followers. Like he had this insignificant amount of followers. Another one actually abroad in Japan, he did the same. For 2 years or a year, he just had this low amount of subscribers. And then, you know, 1 or 2 posts hit, boom, jumped up to another like 10,000, boom, up to 100,000. You know, post went viral, like, and it went massive. And then Mr. Beast did something very clever where he just took all of his money and then gave it to one person randomly. So they got like $10,000 and $100,000. Because especially when I was going through your content as well, and I was looking at your videos. Admittedly, I haven't watched them all. There's a lot.
I think most people haven't watched them all. It'd be kind of hard to do.
I've watched a lot, and I noticed that the one that had the most views out of the ones that I could see was your topic about file phobia and how much revenue you made from it.
Right.
And this was something that came up in a thing with Miss Beast as well. When it comes to content on YouTube, specifically YouTube, people like hearing about money on YouTube. Yeah. That's like, if you just talk about how much money you're earning or whatever the case may be as a YouTube channel, or put that out there, people want to hear that for whatever reason.
I think it's extra important though, because one of the reasons I'm doing, and I'm going to share my Steam revenue soon too. That video's coming up, but like, yeah, like as a content creator, obviously that's the best kind of content you can put out because everybody wants it. But also as an entrepreneur, but also as an artist entrepreneur, which is like,
yeah,
it's a scary thing to say, right? You're both if you're an indie game developer. There is vastly differing expectations on what to expect from like making a game, right? You got people that are coming to this and they know like, hey, it's going to be 5 years before you make $1 and it's going to take a lot of work and it's a lot of technology and it's a lot of learning. And then you got people like, well, I'm going to make my first indie game and I'm going to sell it to Microsoft for $5 billion just like Notch did.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's crazy. So one of the reasons why I wanted to share revenue is because like, for one, like I wish someone would have been able to give me an accurate picture of like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
What did you do? And then what were the results that you got? Right. But then also like part of it is like to kind of calm down these expectations. And I don't think the things that I do maybe is typical of what like everyone else can do, because everyone else has different skills and all that stuff. But like I'm big on that. Like I want to help people kind of taper their expectations, not taper, like kind of gauge better and kind of where their direction is and kind of what to expect and how much work it takes and all that.
Yeah, for sure. I used to be a video game lecturer, right? And so when I'd have my students come in for the first year, they'd sit down, they'd tell me about how they're going to build the next MMORPG, blah, blah, blah. That was exactly the first thing I said when I went to uni, right? The very first thing I went to uni into game development, into game design, I was like, yep, I'm going to build an MMORPG just like World of Warcraft, make millions and millions of subscriptions. And I just sit there and I go, yeah, that's not going to happen. And they're like, well, you don't have to kill my dream. I don't want to kill your dream. I want you to have the passion. I just want you to understand that the road is long and it's hard, and the hills that you have to climb as a game developer is massive. And that leads me on to a question I wanted to ask you, which I've been very, very interested in. So you and I have very similar backgrounds. I'm a game designer, but I also went heavy into marketing. I had my own marketing agency, and then stopped that and then started being a marketing manager for a few companies after I had a child. And you did too. What I want to know, the things I want to know is, what got you into game development, and how are you surviving? like how do you keep yourself afloat through building 30 games and taking just how?
Okay, so what was the first part again?
What got you into game development?
What got me into? Okay, so let's start with that, and then we'll go to the kind of how I'm surviving. I've been making games since I was a kid. It was something I've always loved to do. Like right along with my Pokemon cards, I had a notebook that like was about my card game and the card game I was making, and I would take the Pokemon cards And I'd be like, well, what if we put them on a grid, right? And then we did like you could only attack like the back row or something like that. I was always like inventing stuff like that. But what stopped me was everybody around me said, Tim, you got to go get a real job. Okay. You got to go to college.
Yeah.
You stop messing around with those video games and stuff. Those aren't going to get you anywhere. So I had it drilled into my head that like, it just wasn't feasible. And I even tried, like, I didn't want to go to college, but like my dad always told me like, you're not going to be anything unless you go to college. Like this was just, that was playing over and over in my head. So like I went and I found a college that like did game and simulation programming, which I went for. But like 3.5 years in, I was just like, this is stupid. Like I'm able to do this more on my own than I've made more games than my teachers at this point. And it's stupid to like go here. So I dropped out 6 months from graduation, kind of just as like a rebel move. Like, haha, dad, what now? 6 months from graduation, like I dropped out. What are you gonna do about it? But then also just kind of like it didn't make any sense to me. And I was at the time when I dropped out, I was working on this engine called FPS Creator, which had come out, which is by the game creators, and it was basically a drag and drop FPS engine, which blew my mind at the time because I was really into Halo, and the fact that I could just drag and drop my own levels and make this game was really, really cool. But one of the things I hated about it was because it was a drag and drop engine, you couldn't really make your own thing. You just kind of made a different version of their assets, right? They had pre-made hallways and stuff, and you only use their space hallways. And so I started poking around the engine. I started realizing like all of their assets have these similar script files, and they have these similar like stat sheets and all this stuff. And so I built a program that would allow me to import my own assets. And then a bunch of people requested it, so I actually put it on sale. And I've talked about this a bit, but like the first time I sold it for $5. And nobody bought it.
Yes, I remember this. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, continue.
And then, like later on, like I did research and marketing. I read a bunch of books, and then I was like, okay, well, what if I sell for $30? And then I did, and then it blew up, and I made a ton of money doing it because everybody needed it. But like, apparently, they thought it was bad at $5, but they thought it was good at $30. So
yeah, that's perceived value.
That blew my mind.
Yeah,
that was like, wait, this should not work. This doesn't make any logical sense. Like, what is going on here? That really like. I think it really got me interested in marketing.
This is like
because I was just like
crazy tangent, but there was this company. There's this lady who was selling fake jade, and she did a sale where she reduced the price to like $99 or something. But she didn't write it properly, so it looked like it was. I'm just paraphrasing the story, but it looked like it was $999, not $99 or something along those lines. And she sold out at that price because people thought that the fake jade must be so real, like so close to real jade that they have to buy it because real jade's more expensive. And so perceived value, things that people look at. If you have something that's at a price that you think is fair, but everyone looks at it and goes, "Oh, there's no way you could survive from that." So why would I? I'm not going to give you that money because it's probably bad.
It's crazy, man. I don't know if you saw, but XCOM Chimera Squad just came out, and I'm a super XCOM fan, right? I love XCOM. I have lots of hours in XCOM. It's a $60 AAA game. They come out with this game called XCOM Chimera Squad, and it launches at $20, which is suspicious. But then it launches at $20 with the 50% off discount.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? And like, as a super XCOM fan that would have spent $60, I did not buy that game because that made me suspicious as hell.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? What are you doing with your $20 and 50% off game?
That's it.
A lot of devs don't get that, man. And it's sad. It's sad that like, I still have not bought Chimera Squad. And I'm an XCOM fan. I just feel something's wrong there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's just like,
you put the value so low because you're trying to lower my expectations. Is that what you're trying to do here? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Like my first thought was like, we were talking about mobile games. Like my first thought was like, oh, they're going to release it on mobile. They just want to get some Steam money first before they do that.
Yeah.
Like that was my first thought. Whereas like if they would have did it at 60, it would have been, all right, buy.
Yeah.
You know, it's an XCOM game.
Yeah. It's clearly,
it's weird how the psychology works of that. It's fascinating though.
Yeah. It's the same as like how we perceive numbers, right? It's just like, you know, instead of putting a whole number like $40, you put $39 just because whole numbers just seem so much bigger than like yeah, whatever you call it, not a whole number.
It's so anyway, like
Yeah.
that whole thing kind of got me on a tangent off of marketing, and then I learned to deal with
So you started your own
property
marketing.
development company.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my dad knew somebody in LA that owned a property development company, and they needed people to do websites and marketing. And I was like, well, I can do that. I did this for this. Check it out. I made my program. And then they hired me, but like suddenly that they had like 18 properties, and they needed like websites for all of them, and they needed SEO for all of them, and they needed all this stuff that I had no idea how to do.
Yeah.
But I was just like trial by fire figuring it all out.
Yeah.
And then like when I did, I like that was a fantastic kind of springboard, because now suddenly like anybody I wanted to get as a client, I have like 18 things in my portfolio to show them, right? And all these different properties and stuff like that. And then every time somebody asked me if I could do something and that I didn't know how to do, I would just be like, yeah, of course we can do that. Sure. You need AdWords, we'll figure that out. You need Facebook ads, sure, we could do that. And I just like grew the company that way, just like taking on a bunch of clients with stuff I didn't know how to do, and then I figured it out. And then I got to a point where like now I don't have to figure it out anymore, because now I'm making enough from clients that I can like hire other people to do it. So now I just became this like client liaison, really, that just got really good at talking to people. And that kind of led, and then I sold that company in 2015, and then got super depressed because not only did I hated the marketing company because it just got too, it was just, I don't know. I didn't really understand the concept of saying no to clients either.
Yep.
Like I thought, like if somebody offers you money for something, like you just got to take it, right? Yep. And then so I was selling like the one that I remember was like supplements to like insecure like teenage girls, right? Like weight loss supplements and shit. And I'm just like, this is not what I want to do with my life, is make some poor chick feel so insecure that they buy fucking weight loss supplements, right? Like it's stupid. I was good at it, but I fucking hated it. And so it was just like, so after I sold the company, like it felt the breath of fresh air, but at the same time it was like, uh-oh, what did I just do? Like that was like my whole life, and now it's like not here anymore. And so I went on this epic, huge, long road trip where I just drove across the country, and I stopped everywhere I always wanted to go. And on like it was amazing, but at the same time, like it was just like I was soul searching. And after like I think it had to be like 6 months to a year, I like remembered that like, hey, this thing that I used to get joy out of, I don't do anymore. Make video games, right? Like I used to, that was my favorite part of my whole childhood, and I just had stopped doing the thing that I loved. Why was that? Because somebody told me I couldn't. So like, I did.
That's exactly what everyone, that happens all the time in game development across most arts fields, is someone says you need to get your shit together. And the story I hear from everybody, from you, from Peter Dinklage, from all these actors and these arts people, is they went, you know what? No, this time I'm going to follow my passion, and by following your passion, it leads to things that genuinely mean something to you, and you're happier. Even if you have no money, you're at least happier. Like,
well, I think there's something to say about the not following your passion at first too, right? Like doing the thing that everyone else says you can do, because then you really viscerally learn why you shouldn't and why you right all along, and you really understand that. And so you have the confidence when someone says, no, you should go this way. You say, no, I shouldn't. I don't want to go that way. I've been that way. And like, I didn't have, like, there's such a sense of self-worth and self-confidence that just like, I'm listening to these other people because I don't believe in myself enough to listen to me. Right. But by going through that whole path and realizing they were wrong all along anyway, and that like this whole process, like I should have just been doing the thing that I loved. It teaches you to kind of trust yourself a little bit. Like you were right. You were on the right path. But at the same time, like I can't say I would undo my whole marketing journey either, because dude, as an introvert, like being forced to like, I had severe phone anxiety. When someone would call, I would have like a heart attack. And a lot of times I would have to silence the phone, and I would have to email the person. Like stuff like that. I was like incapable of like interacting with humans, and that's kind of like where I was. And so like you get in a situation where you got to pay the bills, and the only way to do that is to like talk to people and meet with people and like, and then convince them to give you money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty good at like, you know, kind of breaking you out of your shell a little bit. And it took a long time, but like everything that I've learned there has transferred over fantastically to game dev.
Oh yeah, for sure. We actually had a similar journey. So I built a game, tried to release it, made no money, and then went, why didn't I make any money from my game? And went, oh, it's this thing called marketing. How does that work? And then I then went out and went to this like local, this online, it's kind of like Craigslist, but equivalent of Craigslist for a show. Do you have Gumtree in America?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So it's Gumtree. I went to Gumtree and just emailed all these people who said they're like looking for a marketing, looking for someone in marketing. I just emailed every single one of them and said, hey, yeah, I do marketing. And then they called me in and they said, can we do like an interview and for a job? And I was like, oh, I'm looking at starting up my own agency, so maybe we look at it in a different perspective. And they're like, yeah, sure. Do you know AdWords? Do you know any of this? I was like, sure. Went home.
Yeah,
I do.
Totally.
So I ended up with like 13 different clients. And part of stopping it and getting, you know, a real job, was because I had a baby coming on the way, and with these 13 clients, like you, I didn't know how to say no. So I had these people calling me on Sunday, and almost every Sunday I was just like working till midnight. You know, someone would need something, or they didn't understand how SEO worked or AdWords worked, and why haven't I got any clients? And I go in there and I show them their leads almost every week. But that knowledge of marketing, I think if you're ever going to go off on a real job and not focus on being a solo game developer, marketing is a very good real job to go like do.
I mean, okay, I'm very mixed on it because like exactly what you said with the client thing made me hate life.
Oh yeah.
It made me gain 50 pounds.
Yeah.
It made me dread it. I think you know, I'm self-diagnosed, so I don't know, but I think it gave me a form of CPTSD.
Sure.
With association of like the phone ringtones when I would wake up and stuff like that. It was terrifying. And like when I look at my life now, I work maybe 4 to 5 hours a day. My phone never goes off of silent.
Yeah.
It's like, I come to it when I want to interact with it.
Yeah.
It's very chill, and like I never check email.
Yeah.
And I've lost a lot of money by never checking email. Let me just say that. Like there is a ton of money in my inbox, especially like when it comes to YouTube and people always want to sponsor videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it. And I realized that like I spent so much time focusing on the money, trying to build the company, and I realized the money was never really the thing that I wanted.
Yes.
The money was the thing I thought I needed.
Yep.
Right? Like I thought I needed it to like buy the lifestyle that I wanted. But I think it was like the 4-Hour Work Week and a couple other books that I read where it was like, it kind of painted the picture of like, no, you don't need to be a millionaire to have a relaxed, chill lifestyle. You just need to be able to pay your bills in a semi-passive way. Right? Like that doesn't require constant time for money exchange.
Yeah. So what do you do now then?
Kind of changed my perspective.
Like, how do you earn enough from YouTube to survive? Like, how do you keep yourself afloat now? Oh, as long as you're comfortable saying.
Yeah, no, totally. So, in the beginning, there was no revenue. So, like 2 years, I spent. So when I went on my road trip, what I ended up doing was, it was like Mother's Day, and I was in like New Orleans, and my mom was in Florida. So I was like, all right, I'll head there for Mother's Day. And then I got here and I hung out with my mom, and it was a breath of fresh air. Cause I was just like, you know, I'd spent like the last 5 years just hustling and grinding so hard. And then just to come home to like somebody that legitimately like loved me. It's just like, yeah, sleep on the couch till 2. Yeah, Tim, you know, It was just like, wait, what? It was just like, it helped me like decompress. And then I met my girlfriend, Nicole, and then I like started hanging out with some of my friends from high school, because I went to 2 years of high school here in Florida. And I was just like, and then there's like the beach, and I was like, whoa, like life doesn't have to be super anxiety stressful, right?
Yeah.
And then so I had a little bit of money from selling my company and stuff like that. So I just kind of never left Florida. And then I was in the advantage position of having all of these clients in LA paying LA prices. Because like I had a huge network at that point. So even though I sold my company and I sold the clients, I still had people calling me like, a couple weeks, just a couple times a month. Somebody would just call me up and be like, "Hey Tim, I need this. Do you know anybody that does this or whatever?"
Yeah.
So like rent in LA was like $2,800 a month. Rent in Florida was like a third of that, right? Like my entire living costs in Florida is less than my rent was in LA.
Wow.
So like, but the prices that you can get from clients reflect that, right? Like it's much higher. Like it wasn't crazy to get $5,000-$6,000 for like a simple website. Like it was that people would just expect that. And given Florida living costs and LA client costs, it worked out really, really well for a long time. Because I was just like, this seems kind of broken. Like, I feel like I'm cheating the system here, but like, it's working. So I did that, but then like, I didn't really maintain it. So the clients just kind of
dwindled down. Yeah.
Yeah. And then as I was doing that, I was also doing YouTube, and YouTube was slowly growing. Right. And then, so I launched Patreon. I started going on Twitch. Now, this past year or two, Patreon, and so between Twitch and YouTube, I make probably $300-$400 a month, something like that. So it's not much at all, like just from ads. Patreon is a bigger chunk, but it's not, all of that combined is not enough to quite cover the costs. Yeah. But with Philophobia launch, with a big chunk there, and various things that happen, like I sell t-shirts or whatever, and the big chunks from the game sales, it's close. It's not quite there. It's not quite sustainable, but it's close.
Yeah.
Of like making X amount of dollars per month and then making big chunks that kind of fill in the gaps with the game releases. So I'm not quite sustainable, but
soon,
with savings and with all of this stuff, I've been lucky enough for the past year to just devote my time full time to YouTube and to game dev.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Like, and I think that's it, right? It's just like, it takes a lot of steps before you get into a position where you can just devote all your time to it. But if you just take those steps, however fast or slow you can, then you'll get there. You'll reach that goal.
Right.
And that's awesome. I'm like...
Yeah, it takes people are not prepared. I think that's one of the biggest things in both starting a business, but also in game dev, is like, it really is just time. It's just time. You have to give yourself the time to figure it out. Like I posted a video a while back called "Let Yourself Be a Beginner," and people, they don't like to do that in art. They don't like to do that with content creation. They don't like to do that with business. They don't want to let themselves be a beginner. They want to quit their job, start a company, and then be self-sustaining. That's not how it works.
No.
Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, and you're going to fail a bunch, but every time you fail, you learn a little bit, and you're eventually going to fail it till you nail it.
That's it.
Like,
That's it.
It takes the time.
Yeah, I always say it's either time or money or both. So if you have time, then you'll get it done. If you have money, you can pay people to get it done. If you have time and money, then you can get it done quicker. Like,
right.
So pick one of those two. All right, so I'm going to go into this thing called the debug round. It's a series of short, random questions for you. They're all a little bit weird, just warning you.
I'm down for weird questions. Let's do it.
All right, so here we go. Is cereal soup?
No.
Okay, why not?
Because it's not hot.
Ooh.
Is there such thing as cold soup?
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems weird to me. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
That's exactly that's the question. What's a secret conspiracy you'd like to start?
Aliens are the creators of the human race.
Done. Awesome. I'll start another hashtag. Hashtag aliens created us. What's the most ridiculous fact you know?
I think the fact that I can't think of a fact is a fact, and that's ridiculous.
It's such a hard question. In 40 years from now, what will people be nostalgic for?
The good old days of social media before it ruined everybody's life.
Yeah, that's good. I reckon, especially on that tangent, I reckon with when we start getting things like Google Glasses and more AR, like social media is going to be really heavy, and you'll be walking.
Back in my day, we could turn it off.
Yeah. Back in my day, we didn't have contact lenses that showed us your Facebook status. All right, if animals could talk, which would be the rudest?
Duck.
Why?
They are evil.
Really?
They're just. I almost got attacked by one the other day. They're just. You come near them, they stick out their wings. They will run at you. They're vicious.
I guess we have chilled ducks here.
Maybe the ones here look like the mutant zombies. They have like these red faces, and they're like evil. And they hiss, which is terrifying.
We have nice little brown ones. In one sentence, how would you sum up the internet?
Everybody's thoughts, whether they're qualified or not.
Ooh, that's deep. That's good. All right. How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
117.
The specificity of that answer, not 116. Like it would just be one off from being able.
That's how many it takes.
Yeah,
I gotta give accurate answers here.
That's it. What's something people seem to misunderstand about you?
People think I'm trying to be a guru, and really, I'm just trying to build a community of people. Because I've lived my life alone, and I want to build a community of people. That's really all I want. Like, I don't really care about anything else except for building a community of like-minded people that want to help each other out, do the things we love.
Yeah, that's evident on your Discord. That's so evident on your Discord.
Good.
Like, when I join
not the YouTube comments, maybe, because I read some of those and I'm just like, these guys don't get me. But yeah, Discord, I agree, is a good culture, and I think we've captured that vibe a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. When I'm ever on your Discord, I actually forget sometimes that it has a relation to your YouTuber and you as an individual, because there's just so much activity on there, left, right, and center, that I'm just like in this entire really beautiful ecosystem. Your Discord's amazing.
And I try and keep it that way, not to get on a tangent, but like, like a lot of YouTubers have like, hey guys, I posted a new video. Hey guys, I did this. Hey, but I'm really trying to build a community of game devs, and as a result, like I don't want to tag everybody 18 million times with all my stuff.
That's it. Yeah, no, I love it. All right, what's something you're curious about right now?
The depth to complexity ratio of strategy games.
Yep. Okay.
It's fascinating because there's like a sweet spot where you've got a deep, interesting game, but it's not complex. Whereas like it's always easy to add depth by adding complexity, but by finding a good ratio where it's deep enough, but it's not complex and hard to learn, it's fascinating to me. And I've been experimenting with thousands of ways to do it.
Yeah. I love that. What's something you failed at?
I think it'd be an easier question to answer what's something I haven't failed at. Literally, I've failed at everything, and that's what my entire YouTube channel is about. It's like, hey guys, I messed some shit up. I broke some shit. Here's what happened. Yeah,
that's true. I was just gonna reference your channel because I remember the moment that you're just like listing out your failures. I'm just like, yeah, that's so good. All right, and what's something you regretted saying in this podcast? That's the last question.
Nothing. I've learned to really be open and honest, because I think we live in an age of social media and fakery and just this perception of people's highlight reels, and I think we need to be a little more open. That's why I share my revenue, and that's why I share stuff that nobody wants to talk about, because I think openness and honesty and authenticity is really, really important, and we don't get enough of it.
Yeah, that's actually something, and to jump onto this, that's actually something that I've noticed that's really, really evident when it comes to people who are solo game developers. just everyone that I've spoken to, we're just open. It's just ask any question, you know, like, for me, you know, I have a child who's 2.5 and I have one on the way. And a lot of the time people would go, aren't you worried about, like, you have to provide for them. You have to keep the house going. And I am. There's every day I'm probably thinking, shit, I should go get a job, or maybe I need to find like a more sustainable income, or maybe I should do something different. But also, I'm happy and I'm home with them and I get to be there and my wife can go off and work, and like, so there's so many other different things. But I think open and honesty is really like evident in speaking to solo game developers, which is great. I hope that doesn't change as I talk to other developers and they're just
no. I think creative people in general tend to be more open with how they feel about stuff. And I just that's one of the things I enjoy about game dev, is it's like this great intersection between these wonderful, brilliant, creative people, and then these entrepreneurial-minded folks that just it's kind of got this like bright and hopeful energy that really gets me excited to get out of bed in the morning, right? And then that coupled with like the just, hey, let's all help each other and share everything we learned. It's completely different than something like what I used to do, where it's like I want to do this and take business away from them, and it's like it's
so
win-lose
toxic
instead of a win-win. It's a bad way to look at life.
I don't know if you've ever been onto the business or entrepreneur Reddit subreddit, but like, yeah, it's so, you know, if you swap between that and the like game dev subreddit, and the game dev subreddits, everyone's like, hey, share your progress, let me know everything that you're doing, everything's great. In the entrepreneurial subreddit, it's like, don't you dare mention your business at all. It's like, you know, if you do, that's it, you're banned. Like, get out of here. It to a degree, like they obviously allow some. All right, my last segment is called early release, and basically, you've been tasked to come up with an idea of a video game that can be built in a weekend. What would it be, and how would it play?
I've done this many times. So I think I'm equipped for it. Right now, the idea that I've been obsessed with is a tactics game with customizable mechs, which I mentioned. It's something that I've written down. Either that, or I'll give you another idea that I haven't brought up with it. One of the games that I want to make at some point that I think would be pull off in a weekend is a game where you assemble robots, but you assemble them from pieces that have their own AI logic, and then you connect those pieces. So, for example, if there's a sensor it's a proximity sensor, and you put it on your robot, then you drag and drop a wire from that to the gun, which would make the gun fire every time something comes into proximity.
That is
cool. And you build robots that way, where like they're completely autonomous, and then you put them in an arena and they fight somebody else's robot. Where you don't actually touch. So that's something I've been like really obsessing about. And it sucks because like it sucks being in the middle of development, because like I have 1,000 ideas I want to jump on, but like I got to stick to the stupid barn animal and get this over with, then I can do all the cool robot mech stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That reminds me, there's a game on, I think it's on Steam as well as the mobile, but it's like a AI robot game, but you program all the AI commands inside. I
think I've played that.
Yeah. It's kind of like that, but like more tactile, you know, dragging and dropping the wire on and sitting there.
Right.
No,
because I used to do this thing called sumo bots, which is basically the same thing, but I used to build actual robots that you put them in a ring together, and their whole goal is to push the other one out of the ring.
Yeah.
I used to have so much fun with that.
Yeah, we had it called Robot Wars. Like that's the
hardcore version of it. You give them weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
I never got that crazy, but yeah, I mean, I've always been fascinated by stuff like that.
All right. If you could nominate 2 people, or 1 person, if you can't think of 2, that should be on our podcast at some time in the future, who would it be, and what question would you ask them?
2 people.
Or 1. I say 2, but
I would definitely say you should talk to Jonas Tyroller. I'm a big fan of his. And I would ask him when Will You Snail is going to ship, because I've been excited for that game. I also think No, I'll just go with Jonas. I
That's
think
awesome.
Jonas is a good person to talk to.
Yeah, I like doing this because I like hearing who you kind of look towards and you look at as someone that you get inspiration or information from, because it's such a like awesome thing to be able to go, yeah, I've reached this point in my life, but there are people that I look at here or even, across next to me, like that I learn from and I absorb information from. So, yeah.
It's really weird how your perspective on those type of people changed though too, because like definitely the people I looked up to a couple years ago are not the same people I look up to now.
No.
And you learn to value different things, I guess. And with Jonas specifically, I really value his openness and honesty, like we were talking about. And I've talked to him for a long time, and I really enjoy his videos. I really enjoy his content. I really enjoy his energy. And I appreciate when people can just be open and authentic and share the things that they think, and also, put those things into a way where they can help other people, like this podcast, right? Like it's gonna lots of people are gonna hear it, and it's gonna help somebody out somehow.
That's it, right? And that's why I started it, also to help me, like as an individual, just because I'm a solo game developer going through all of this. It's just so good to talk to other people and go, you know what? I can do this. We can move forward. Now
it gives you an excuse to talk to people too. You'd be like, "Hey, do you want to be on my podcast?" Instead of, "Hey, do you want to talk to me for an hour?" I've used that on YouTube plenty of times to like talk to people.
That's it.
It's great.
Before I go, so as you can see, there's a nipple sticker on my computer, right?
I like it.
Yeah, I started this charity or non-for-profit organization ages ago, where we send physical nipple stickers to people, and it was meant to be breast cancer awareness. Now, it did really well. It did so well that I couldn't actually afford the postage, so I stopped doing it because postage from Australia is insane, especially when I'm sending to America, and it was like $3 a post, and I was like, I can't do this. But what I'm doing on my podcast is I'm giving away, for every person that's on here, you get one sticker of your choice. So these are the 3 choices you have. Yep.
I like the shiny one.
Done. All right, it's yours. So
awesome.
I'll be sending that in the mail to you, and you get our signature nipple sticker for our podcast.
I'm excited now. You should have told me that earlier. I would have been on this podcast ages ago. And then I got a nipple sticker.
I didn't think I'd lead with it. It comes across a bit weird.
Maybe you should. Maybe it'll change the results.
I'll do it with Jonas. I'll be like, hey, you'll get a nipple sticker if you come on my podcast. Thank you so much, Tim. It's been awesome having you on here.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And everybody, go check out Battlebarn Tactics. Wishlist it. Make sure that you and join, follow, like, subscribe. Tim's YouTube.
All the stuff. Click all the buttons.
Yeah. Go to Discord. Check it out. Join the group. Like, just everything. Just absorb every social media. That'll be awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Nice talking to you, dude.
Yeah, you too.
No problem.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.